Hi there, welcome to today's Business Growth Club show. We are so pleased to have you here. We've got a great show lined up for you this evening, and we're going to be joined a bit later by May King-Sang, aren't we, Mahmood?
We are. She's sitting comfortably, having a cup of tea in the green room, relaxing. We've had a pre-chat with her already, so she's very excited. We're excited for her to come on in about 15 minutes or so.
Yeah, but it's good. We had some giggles off air and things. So I love May King. She's got so much energy. She's the FOMO creator, and she's going to share loads of tips and content with us this evening. So that's going to be awesome. If you're watching live, then come and say hello. Tell us where you're watching from. Tell us what you're up to right now. If you're watching on replay, then we will come back to you after the show. So do comment. We're just really glad to have you here, and we'd love to hear all your questions and thoughts as we go through. So the theme is growth marketing, how you can actually get started with using marketing to grow your business. Maybe you're doing some marketing already and you want to do even more and get even better, and you're thinking about your plans as you're going into 2021. So loads to talk about, and I know you're brilliant at marketing, Mahmood.
I mean, it's a great topic actually, Joe, and I think growth marketing is like I would say marketing reboot version number 2 here. What I love about this is a great blend of numbers. It's a great bit of creativity. You need to be a bit of a hybrid animal actually, or need a hybrid team to actually really make it work here. And for me, it's like building your tribe, but actually building a sustainable tribe and building a sustainable audience here. So if you do what I call old-fashioned conventional marketing, that has its part to play. But I think where we are now in the 21st century, 2020 going to 2021, growth marketing is probably the new kid on the block that's going to keep your business powering.
Definitely, and it didn't do Instagram any harm, did it, when they sold Facebook? You know, so
about $2 billion or something ridiculous.
Something like that. Yeah, something like that. So, and the thing is, it's never been more accessible, and we can create our own media. We can really get our message out there. The important thing is to be distinctive on message and really know who your customers are. So we're going to have some great conversation this evening. And marketing is something that even if we don't like it, it's really important that we think about how we can do it and get stuck in, because you can have the best product or service in the world, but if nobody knows it exists, or if nobody knows how amazing it is, or if nobody's got a connection with you and your brand, then it really isn't going to take off. And I think, Mahmood, what you've been doing is incredible. You know, we've talked about this before, all the way through lockdown and beyond, going through, you know, keeping people informed, going through all the stuff from the Chancellor, and also just putting out great informative content.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting you say that. It's very nice of you to say so, Joe. But in terms of that sort of content conversation here, I think what I like about it as well, so in terms of growth marketing in particular here, it's a bit of a contradiction to that. I don't know if you ever saw that Kevin Costner film, Field of Dreams, that old scrap line that says, "Build it and they will come." And I think definitely if you think I've got a great product, it's brilliant, it can do all these wonderful things, I've got a great service, if nobody knows about it, especially in a very crowded, noisy marketplace, you're going to find it very difficult to build anything of reasonableness there as well. I mean, I see that you do that in your sort of innovation space. I do it in my number space here. It's about really being customer focused and actually drilling down that. But what I love about it is because it's not just an idea, it's not just about being motivated, it's about processes and techniques that we can bring to it as well.
Yeah, it's a long game as well. I don't know if you find the same, but actually I'm getting rewards now for things that I've put, you know, the groundwork in for quite a long time ago. When I look at things like web analytics and followers, but engagement is probably as important and more important than followers and so on. Actually getting leads coming in so that people know, like and trust. They get in contact, and it actually is marketing that generates leads. And of course, marketing has never been easier to measure than it is today with all the social media tools that we've got. And I know you're a big believer in KPIs, as am I.
Yeah, I mean, just to flag out some of the things you talked about, like conversions, likes. I hear people say, I'm not a marketer by trade, but you know, likes are what they call vanity metrics. Likes don't pay the bills. Likes don't actually grow the business here. But what you need is to be looking at things, you know, whether it's like the number of people that land on your website, which is going to be a primary goal, hasn't it, to get people to land on a focal point, but measuring those leads, measuring those conversions, measuring the number of inquiries. Lots of data that exists there, but it's always being selective about what those numbers actually mean and have value for your business.
It's not just about attracting new people as well. It's about actually retaining and staying in front of existing customers so that you're always top of mind and that you're associated with really great content. So in terms of content marketing, I mean, we're talking about video, it could be blogs, it could be informative, helpful posts, and lots of stuff. I don't think it's sort of pretty Instagram posts that just look nice, or it's got to be adding value, hasn't it, and showing up really consistently. It's nice for Instagram posts to look nice as well. I'm not knocking that, but there's a lot more to it than how to grow your following or how to get people on board. So I think what I've been learning actually is also the more myself I am, the better it works. The more reach, more engagement, rather than just trying to be sort of too corporate and share, or too business-like and share information. Actually doing that just as myself and turning up and saying what I really think and what I'm really struggling with has been a really big lesson for me as well.
Yeah, I take that on board as well for myself. It's what they call about being authentic, isn't it? And for me, it's a really strange thing because you are yourself, and it takes time to be authentic. But it's like if you present a different persona, a different avatar to your customers, whoever they are, and then they meet you in real life or they meet you on a Zoom call and they're thinking, hang on, who's this person over there that we've been interacting with, and now you come here. So you've got to be your natural self. It's the easiest thing to remember as well. And it's really trying to be confident in yourself to actually sort of maintain that, if you're polished in real life, be polished when you do your presentations, your marketing. If you're a bit rough and ready, obviously it's a family show, so then you've got to try and maintain that authenticity, because that's what your customers will connect with.
Yeah, and I know what you mean about being a bit rough and ready. I mean, this is what I'm like. So if people have booked me to do things for today, we've had a great day, been doing some really fantastic sessions with clients and things, and this is it. I'll keep topping up the lippy as the day goes on, but this is what you see and how I interact and talk with people, and it's just really about. And I think actually the working from home has helped with that. We're now seeing even corporate CEOs that would normally be suited and booted, they're being a bit more relaxed about how they present themselves and so on. And I really hope that lasts, because it just feels so much better, doesn't it? It's people doing business with people.
It's interesting, that one, because I think it's probably contextual as well, though, Joe, isn't it? Because I'd imagine, we talk about this growth marketing, but one of the key things is about understanding who your customer actually is, because not everybody, however brilliant you think you are, will buy from you. Not everybody will engage with you. Not everybody will want to do business with you. And I think if you meet somebody for the first time, for example, in a corporate setting, perhaps you might be more formal because it's that badge that says this is what I am. As you get to know somebody, you can afford to be more relaxed there. And I think one of the things I pulled out from what you were saying a few moments ago, it's not a one-size-fits-all scenario situation. You've really got to apply some sort of logic and application to understanding who your customers are, what they want from you, what is it they're looking to get, the transformation they're expecting from you as a business.
Yeah, and that's what growth marketing is all about. It's about, because it's all these things that make us different, as our businesses different and ourselves different as individuals, and the flavour and the ethos and our values. And I think that's what really connects with people. So the more we can actually be, hopefully, the best version of ourselves, the most professional and helpful and really good at what we do, that goes without saying. But the more we do that and we communicate that, I think the more people connect with us. And there's this whole sort of process, isn't there, of moving people from, it's the AIDA, awareness, interest, desire, and all the way through to actually making, doing business with us and becoming a real customer. And I think that's the thing about online, is people can get to know us really quickly and really accessibly in all sorts of different ways that with other methods of marketing sort of take a lot longer. And I just really see so many entrepreneurs who aren't making full use of all the tools and things that are out there. And I'm not saying, use every channel, or, if I don't know, YouTube isn't right for you, then don't do YouTube. I'm not suggesting that we do everything. But there are so many tools and opportunities out there, and there's so many people who aren't really using them, to grow the business, which seems such a shame.
I think it's probably, I don't know if it's, I mean, I'm not a DIY person, so I don't know why I'm using a DIY analogy, but it's very much like having a toolbox, isn't it? And in your toolbox, if you're doing a DIY job or fixing something, not every item in the toolbox is appropriate for the job in hand. And it's the same with marketing. I mean, I've done some study in marketing, but there's two things that come out for me that I've learned about marketing over the last few years in this digital age. One is this concept about sales funnel, and we have this idea of a funnel. And the other thing is about what I call customer lifetime value. So in other words, instead of just looking at random purchase here, that's what you want to create. You want people that you engage with as strangers to people that actually will procure from you and buy again. You want them to, be in that customer journey, knowing how to communicate with them. You've got this whole idea of customer lifetime value, that when you actually look at the monetary return from a customer there as well, you have to look at it entire in its lifetime, and it then may be appropriate to invest the appropriate spend and time depending on the value that customer brings to you.
Yeah, and actually working out what gets the best return on investment is never easier than it's been today, because we can just do A/B testing, where you try this one and try that one and another one, and see how they perform, and really work out what works best for your brand, your business, and for what you're trying to do. But knowing that target customer is absolutely key, and having a really clear view, as we've always said, around what is the customer problem that you're trying to solve, and who is the customer, how are they going to be using the product or service, and then building on that and starting to create something. And it's exciting, actually. Through doing all of this, I've met some amazing people. And I think, for instance, if you and I hadn't been online and doing some of the things, we wouldn't have met to collaborate, So our marketing has sort of crossed over. We've encountered each other and we're collaborating. Our lovely guest this evening, May King, we've connected with her in different ways through mutual social media. And I've got clients, Christine, if you're watching, over in Beirut, it's wonderful working with you. We've had, Claire over in Holland recently on a podcast, and it's just such a good way to connect with great people.
I've actually come across you on Instagram, I believe, Joe. Was it Instagram or was it Janet Murray's event? I can't remember which one of those two it was, but you're right. The digital space gives you great opportunities. I mean, it's a tough, crowded marketplace out there, but you can, if you stick to that authenticity, if you know the right tools to use in your toolbox there as well, it can be really great. But I suppose it's like anything else in business, isn't it? You can do DIY it, or you can actually bring in the experts as and when you actually feel you need those to plug into your strategy.
Yeah, definitely. And I think actually that's a really good segue, because you said bring in the experts, and we've got an expert to bring in. So quick list of tools, please, Joe. We use Instagram, Facebook, MailChimp, but what else? Okay, so great question. Instagram, Facebook, MailChimp, fantastic. I love those tools as well. LinkedIn is an amazing tool in terms of organic reach, connection, and building really good relationships with people who've got shared interests, people who might be your target customers. And I think with all social media, it's not just about broadcasting what we're doing. It's about actually supporting other people and cheering them on and showing an interest or asking questions. LinkedIn is fantastic for business to business. It really is. As long as we don't do that spammy thing, which is you connect with somebody and then you ask them if they want to buy a photocopier, 30 seconds later in direct messages. We don't want any of that. So I think, build the relationship there, and then what happens is often the conversation goes offline. I know you're brilliant at LinkedIn as well, aren't you, Mahmood? You use it a lot for your business.
I think for me, probably the first thing to actually ask yourself is going through who your customers are, where they hang out, then choose the channels appropriate to actually reach and connect to those customers there as well. So if you've got most of your customer base is businesses, they've got a certain customer avatar behind them, then you've got to think about where they hang out. Is LinkedIn the best? I use the word punching ground. Is that the best pastures? Is it actually that you might find them also on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, TikTok, whatever? So you really got to understand who the customer is, something about them, and then you can actually identify the channels that best connect with them. Yeah,
May King is fantastic on Twitter and loves it. There's also something about where you feel like you feel most comfortable. So where are you building the best rapport? Because I think it's so easy just to broadcast stuff out, but actually it's about taking the time to connect and invest in relationships, and so on is very important. But also, you know, through any blogs, content, giveaways, promos, things that you can do like that to get people engaged. I don't know. Let me know. Would you just stick a comment in to tell us if you thought that answered the question? In fact, I'm exploring Pinterest at the moment, Mahmood.
Okay.
We've not
I did touch on that. Yeah, but that's an interesting one. I think they changed the models on that, but was it they say you either focus on 2 or 3 focuses and be very good at them, or if you've got the resources, then you can actually spread your tentacles even further out there. I like the idea that variety you're giving, Jo. There's something I was reading in preparation for tonight. I think it was Airbnb. Airbnb's. And what I love about growth marketing, because as I said, you need this hybrid animal. You've got to be creative, you've got to be data driven, you've got to be analytical, you've got to see the big picture, you've got all these things. I think Airbnb, if I remember rightly, the part of the reason that drove them phenomenal 2-year growth was that as they were developing their website, they actually just said to all their users, we'll provide free photography for you. So we'll take a picture, we'll pay for it. And that seemed quite crazy at the time, but actually I think that was largely responsible for driving their phenomenal growth over a couple of years.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, I've got a very visual business in many ways in terms of the innovation stuff that I do, and I'm always producing graphics to show principles or to, you know, stimulate ideas or whatever. So Pinterest felt like I was creating the stuff anyway, and it felt like a natural fit, because things like YouTube, Pinterest, they're search engines, they're not social media. And it's just another way of people being able to find you when they tap you into search. And then social media, of course, is a different form of connection again. So also do what you enjoy. I know Making loves Twitter, but I just sort of, you know, for some reason, I just don't connect with it. But there are loads of journalists on Twitter. So if you want to get in front of journalists, then find the journalist groups and use those. We've heard from Rachel as well, from Nut & Noggin, another Business Growth Club member who's been super successful at getting into you know, UK-wide publications and into retailers like Selfridges through doing what she does using Twitter, and Instagram's been a big player in that as well. So I think we ought to now actually get into a pro conversation. I mean, we're pros, but Making is a pro on a different level with all this stuff. She's like,
I'm down.
right up there. She's so high up, I couldn't even fit her in the screen. So Making is the FOMO creator, and she's awesome. So Making creates FOMO for loads of big names on the internet and beyond. So let's bring her on.
We will do. We won't tell you what FOMO stands for. We'll leave that to the Queen herself. So here she comes. Making, good evening to you.
How are you?
Absolutely so delighted to see you.
So lovely to see you both, Jo and Mahmood.
It's good to see you. It's always good to see you. You always bring an incredible energy.
Why, thank you very much.
Now, Jo started off by saying FOMO. We deliberately didn't tell anyone what it was because I think you're going to explain it perfectly, brilliantly. So are you okay just to kick us off with, tell us something about yourself and FOMO? What's this phrase we keep hearing?
Yeah, so my name's Making Sang. My first name is Making. I'm on all the socials as Making Tea, Making Tea, get it? And I call myself the FOMO creator. FOMO means the fear of missing out. And it actually is a great compliment to growth marketing, because without building relationships with people, without establishing yourself, your business online as a brand, you can't really create FOMO. So FOMO really helps to bridge the gap between social media and PR. And when you do both of those really well, then people will not want to miss out on your product, your business, your service, your challenge, your conference. And I help to amplify that. I help to create that FOMO for you.
And you do it for some amazing, as I said in the intro, some amazing names. And I think we can say who they are, because obviously it's all out there in FOMO social media world, isn't it? But we've done stuff for the likes of Janet Murray, who, if people are listening in, is brilliant on audience building. You've done work for Andrew and Pete and Atomic, who small businesses, making them small mighty businesses. Pods Up North, is that something you've been working on as podcast? Yeah.
Yep. So Pods Up North was the first conference for podcasters up north last year. I created FOMO for them last year when we were allowed to go out and play. And this year they had a virtual epic masterclass, and I helped to create FOMO to help them to sell tickets to their masterclass. So I did that as well. Yeah.
Only this year you did FOMO at Upreneur as well.
I did do FOMO at Upreneur last year as well. So yes, so that was live FOMO, as I call it, attending, listening to the speakers, talking to attendees, and creating live content, live social media content out onto the interwebs to basically break the internet. So as Joe said, I love Twitter. I can tweet on average 1,200 tweets a day. At virtual conferences, I tweet on average 550, but I also create live content by doing interviews and create Instagram stories. I also do LinkedIn posts as well. But basically, get that excitement of an event, of a product, of a service, of a festival, a conference, and I just basically break the internet with it. I just sort of create social media and on top of what's been built for your brand.
Yeah,
I've seen you in action, so I can testify that as well, actually. So really good.
Me too. I've been interviewed by you at one of your events, and I think we sat on a table. You were the expert, and I was on your table, and that's how we met, isn't it? I think it's June, not last year, probably the year before. I don't know. I can't remember. You're amazing at what you do. When you say you're doing all those different Twitter posts in a day, I guess for people who aren't very familiar with Twitter, the lifespan of a tweet isn't as long, is it, as other social media posts? Is that right?
That's right. It's about 28 minutes. However, based on what you were talking about earlier, you were saying about YouTube and Pinterest, you love that, because they're search engines. And, if you want to get onto page one of Google, although we don't know what the magic formula is to get onto Google, I'm guessing that if you love Google, Google will love you back. So if you use YouTube, it will love you back. And if you use Pinterest, people go on Pinterest to search for stuff. People, so if you're active on Pinterest, then people will find your stuff. And equally on Twitter, up to 5% of your tweets are actually indexed. So, it doesn't matter how many posts you put on Instagram or Facebook. If people were to search and Google you, it will say that you've got a Facebook page or an Instagram page, but all the content that you've put in there, it won't show up on the page on Google. However, your tweets up to 5% can actually be indexed. So you're increasing your chances of being found on Google, basically. And that's why I love Twitter so much. You also mentioned about journalists. They're always looking for stories, always looking at ways in which they can get a story. And, if you want to appear on TV, on radio, in national magazines like Rachel has done with Nut and Noggin, then you're increasing your chances by going onto Twitter. However, all of that said, when it comes to creating FOMO for your business, you've got to go where your audience is. And so, although I love Twitter, if your audience isn't there, there's no point creating tweets because it'll be like tumbleweed. But I've created FOMO for conferences just on Instagram or just on LinkedIn or just on Facebook, going onto Facebook Live. So I've been able to do all of those as well as Twitter.
Yeah.
So for a small business or business in its growth stage, Making, what would you recommend and suggest to it? How does it know what's the best platform that it should be focusing, investing its time and energy in?
You've already alluded to it. I mean, with the Business Growth Club, part of the course was to find out, if you've got an idea, you've got to do your research. You've got to figure out who your customer avatar is. And once you've figured out your customer avatar, you figured out, what their likes and dislikes are, which social media platform are you likely to find them on? If you're looking to connect with CEOs of Fortune 100 companies, Facebook is probably not the place to search for them. They'll be there as as a person, but not necessarily as CEO of that business. So you probably go onto LinkedIn in that regard. If you're looking to sell products to, I don't know, parents, then, of a particular age, they're probably more likely to appear on Facebook. So therefore, you need to have a Facebook page, but appear on Facebook groups and get engaged. You talked about growth marketing. It's not just about broadcasting your message, but about engaging with people to build a relationship with potential customers. And, Joe, you mentioned about know, like, and trust. Yes, yes, yes. It's about playing the long game and building relationships with people to get people to know who you are as a person, then as a business, then as a brand, and then creating that FOMO so that they cannot do without your product, business, or service. So it's about, Mahmood, you talked about doing your research. If you're trying a few of the platforms, figure out, what is the best time of day to publish, where you're getting the most engagement from, and then go all in on 1 or 2 or maybe 3 social media platforms, but no more than that.
Yeah, we had a comment. Was it from Richard Mahmood? It's
just about the list of tools, I think it was something like that.
Yes, yeah. And I think, in terms of what you were saying, so Instagram, looking at tools like Planoly, for instance, or similar, they're scheduling tools. And also, if you look at those, MailChimp was the other one I was trying to think of there for a moment. They'll give you an indication of, if you're sending something on MailChimp, when is the best time for people to send it so people will open it? And when is the best time to post on Instagram for your account and for what you're doing. So there is data out there as well, because the key thing is to get your post out there, to get your stuff out there, and then quickly get likes and comments so that it gets shared around a lot more. Have I got that right, Mei-King?
Yeah, what I loved about the start of your broadcast, I was listening in the green room, and both of you talked about, as business owners, we have been obsessed with how many fans or how many followers we have, but they are, as you quite rightly said, Mahmood, they're vanity metrics. They're only there to serve us and think, oh, we've got 100 followers now. Oh, we've got 150. It doesn't matter. It absolutely does not matter. What we really want to focus on is being there for the customer. So sometimes I love scheduling tools, but a lot of business owners do concentrate on using those scheduling tools to broadcast the same message across all platforms. But you really need to show up. So use Planoly if you want to on Instagram. However, go into the platform natively to see if anyone's liked your post. And if someone's liked your post, they've taken the time to spend it with you. So build a relationship with them, And also Mahmood mentioned earlier, don't just broadcast your messages, your social media posts out there. You need to start engaging with people. And, as business owners, before we were, when we were allowed to go out and play, some of us may have gone to networking events and you speak to people, but you don't thrust a business card at people, do you? You don't say, hey, this is what I do. You listen to them and you talk to them and you engage and, and maybe you'll organize a meeting. You do exactly the same online. So by all means, use scheduling tools. One that I use is not for scheduling, but for listening, but they do have scheduling, which is Agora Pulse. So Agora Pulse is fantastic for scheduling across all the platforms if that's what you want to do. But you must make time to see if anyone has actually liked your post or commented on your post. And what Agora Pulse allows you to do is actually listen to all those platforms all into one place, which is fantastic. So then if someone has actually commented, pretend they're actually talking to you. How would you respond? How would you respond? And the other thing, sorry, I can go on about this topic forever. The other thing is, one thing that I always talk about when I'm speaking is to create content for the lurkers. Because if I was to ask you guys today, have you lurked on social media? We all have. We've all got on our phone, right?
You call it lurking, I call it stalking. What do they say?
Lurking
Making, and I've turned up or had or in these days had virtual conversations with clients who haven't liked or commented, but yet they know that, oh, you did that, didn't you? And you did the other, and what was going there like? How was that for? And they're watching, you know. It's there. It's like you're staying front of mind. And I know that there are different views on this. I mean, I like to use Planoly just for a bit of intelligence, and you know, if it's whatever it is, whatnot day, you know, then I need to make sure I remember to post that day. Otherwise, I only remember when everybody else has done it. So I like to schedule that sort of thing.
Absolutely, and I'm not against scheduling.
No,
absolutely not. But
it's a mix, isn't it? So some schedule. But I find that I don't know what I was going to say. We were talking about scheduling, weren't we? Yeah, it's like using the changing the message, because and people have different views and think you can broadcast the same thing. There are some things I think need changing. So I can remember doing something on LinkedIn where, Mahmood, you might remember this, I was having a tough time with a particular copywriter.
I do remember the story very well, yeah.
Yes, thank you for the counselling and the coaching through that. But, and I put something about it on LinkedIn that was really quite business-like, and, you know, does anybody else have this issue, very professional. And then on my Instagram, I put, you know, headline, which is, you can't do epic shit with mediocre people, you know, just completely different, same thing. It was about the same issue, but it was a different tone, because I'm talking to different people on Instagram from the ones on LinkedIn. So hopefully we can bleep that out later.
But and also to add on to that point as well, is that on LinkedIn you've got 1,200 characters to play with on a post, and on Instagram you've got 2,200 characters. On Twitter, you've got 208 characters. So quite often what I will do is actually create a video which has some information, you know, like a FOMO tip. I'll put it onto Twitter. I've got 280 characters there. I'll repurpose and upload that video, put it onto LinkedIn and use the full 1,200 characters on LinkedIn. And then I'll copy and paste that post, put it onto Instagram, but I'll add even more to it, because not everyone is visual. There are a lot of people who are visual. Some people like to read, you know, so service though, you're increasing your chances of being seen by posting onto more than one platform. So by all means, schedule across all the platforms if you want to. But I, like Joe said, you know, sort of change the tone or change the words, or definitely max out the words across each platform to really sort of get the maximum out of potential lurkers. And as Joe said, you know, I've had people lurking just a day. When I've been tweeting at a conference, they've sent me a DM and said, "Can we talk?" And then they've become a client. I've had some clients who've been lurking on my stuff for 18 months, and so they've never liked my posts, they never shared, they never commented, but they've been watching me. And then eventually, when the time was right for them, they eventually DM'd me and we chatted. So don't worry if you've posted and no one's liked and no one's shared and no one's commented, okay? Just create good content, create content for the lurkers, and they will come to you eventually.
Yeah,
I think that element of patience that comes into it as well. It's the long game there as well. I mean, we've all had this experience of, you know, I've spoken to people from several years ago and they've become clients eventually. They want to see that consistency. And if we think about buying behavior, people just, it's unusual to say, I'm selling this, and so he says, you know, I want it straight away. Unless it's like, you know, a Black Friday, or it's something like a sale here. People take time to think about the purchase, think about whether it's right for them, do the evaluation. I think that statistically, I think I've read something like about 7 stages involved in a buying cycle there as well. And it's making sure you're there and you can answer those questions in each stage of the buying cycle. So it's investment, it's time, it's patience, and it's trying not to get that shiny bauble syndrome where we get distracted and think, oh, TikTok looks good, let me try that one for 10 minutes, let me try something else. And that is just, for me, it's a crazy way to behave.
Yeah, it is. It's and I like what you said about the 7 stages of buying. We also need to see the same thing over and over and over. And I think that's why the big brands put so much effort and investment into making sure that if we look at that pair of trainers on one platform, then when we go on, you know, on social media, when we go on to Google or whatever, oh, funny enough, there's those trainers again. whatever we look at, those trainers pop up, and eventually we go, I do like those trainers, and we buy them, and it's that repeated exposure, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And we can also learn from the big brands as well. Us business owners, we also need to see ourselves as a brand. You know, I came back to the UK 4 years ago, and I've been away for 6 years. I had to restart my business. I had to rebuild my brand. I had to prove that I knew what it is, you know, what I'm talking about. But I can't just thrust a business card online and say, hey, buy my stuff. I had to prove it. So writing LinkedIn articles, engaging with people on Twitter chats and Facebook groups, showcasing what it is I know. And then eventually people did come to me and become my customer. But I saw my, I used my brand. You know, I tried to get my brand known, and hopefully people know me, they like me, they trust me, they will recommend me or even buy from me myself. Yeah. So there's a reason why I wear this hat. it's memorable. I'm short. I'm 5'3", you know, so, but if you make me laugh, then you'll probably remember my laugh, and that's memorable. But if you don't make me laugh, then how can people see me from across the, you know, across the networking room? It's the hat. I also, you know, I have a memorable microphone. So you know, those are the kind of things that you can help your business to be memorable. But online, when you are, you know, engaging in post, if you are sharing really good information, you are creating a good brand, you know, a brand persona. And if people like you, they know you, they trust you, then they will recommend you. So we need to think of ourselves as a brand.
We've had a great question from Richard, who's asked, how often or consistent do you need to be with social media posts? And Richard, it says on your logo, if you just hold it up there on screen for a second, it's you're maximising your welding potential. So someone who's in, you know, a business like Richard's, how often? What about if he's busy doing other things? How can he make the most of the time? And any other tips for Richard's business?
That's a great question. And it goes back to trying things out and seeing what works and what doesn't. You know, sometimes I'm not consistent. You know, I don't post every day. I post when I've got something that's good, you know, that's good quality to share. But, you know, in the Business Growth Club, I remember Joe and Mahmood talked about outsourcing. So when you are ready to do so, are there some tasks that are repetitive that you could actually outsource so that you can then, you know, work your magic on the stuff that you enjoy and that, you know, that is going to help you grow your business. So try posting, you know, a few times a day. If that doesn't work, lessen it. And then you need to find the times and dates and times. So, for example, Richard, you know, like I said, before 2016, I was in Australia for 6 years. And what I discovered is that they get up at silly o'clock in the morning. So I had to schedule posts at 5 in the morning, because I'm not getting up at 5 in the morning. In order to capture the audience. But if I posted at 9 o'clock in Australia, it would have been too late because they're already out. So when I came back to the UK, I had to go through the process again to try and test to see what was the sweet spot for my audience. And then I would schedule or I would post accordingly. So it's really about trying, testing and seeing what works. There's no shortcut, basically.
Like, I mean, Twitter, it's about, as you say, it's about being on top of it, because the average tweet, like, you know, its shelf life is about 28 minutes, I think you said. But where on LinkedIn, for instance, I'll post, you know, if I post once a week, that's a lot. But what I do is spend a few minutes every day. It could only be 5 to 10 minutes, liking, commenting, supporting other people's stuff. And through that, really building a good quality you know, network of people that I'm interested in. We're interested in each other's stuff. We can help each other and grow it that way. But I'm quite mindful about only posting when I've got something to, you know, that I really want to say. Whereas Instagram, a bit more, you know, your feed is always there, but I think it's just got a higher turnover. Not as fast as Twitter, but still quite high.
I think it's also a bit about not being scared to failing. So, you know, you might do something which you think is really brilliant, but actually doesn't land with the audience. It doesn't land with your customers. You got to turn up. I think that's the key thing. And one thing I know about you, Making, for example, is that what you're known for also, which you haven't mentioned, is that you're very helpful. you share, you help out people when they actually do that. But that's something they remember about you as an attribute there. You've got to do things. And I've done stuff, if I look back over the years, which I don't get embarrassed, but I'm thinking, did I really do that? So you don't know if it's going to work until you actually try it. And if you try it, you think it's brilliant in your own head, it may not land in the slices, and it's going to really, really, really do dreadfully. I'm just going to bring in a couple of comments here, if you don't mind, everyone. So I think we recognise this name. So that's Sarah. Absolutely. Let's give Sarah a wave.
So great to see you. Great to see you too, Sarah. So Sarah, as you know, making Business Growth Club member on the show a couple of weeks ago. I didn't see the whole comment, Mahmood.
Oh, so my apologies. I'm impatient. My apologies, Sarah. You can chastise me later.
Yeah. So currently learning loads, following on from learning the Growth Club. Yes, it's a long game, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I love Sarah Price's posts on LinkedIn. So Sarah is the director of a community interest company, which is all about children wellbeing, education in schools. So she's very creative. So if you've not seen Sarah Price on LinkedIn, go and have a look. And Richard says, great answer, but I think Weldmax needs a making. Well, we're here first, Richard.
Well, you can always join the Growth Club, Richard, and you might be able to make him, who knows, may share some tips. But you're right. And I think that's a good point, by the way, because I think in anything we do, we're going to be looking at efficiency and productivity next week. But for me, as a business, remember, it's not a hobby you've got in your hands. There are certain things, depending on how much you value your own time. So I think, is it a good use of my time to do something I know a little bit about, but don't actually know enough about to actually power my business? And marketing, is a key component about driving your business forward here. And if you don't think you're the best equipped to develop a marketing plan, to implement it, then you need to really think about, should I invest in a capability to actually make sure that I can grow that marketing thing? If you rely on yourself to do that, effectively you're going to either be working 24-hour days and not do them very well. So investment, don't always look at it as a cost. Own the brand, own what you want to do with it, but you've got to really think carefully about investing in that infrastructure.
Can I just chip in there, Mahmood, because there are some really great experts, and Making is one of them, who you can use and will help you grow your business and get that organic growth. There are some people who say they are good at it, but they are, they don't know what they're doing. You spend a lot of money and the return is negligible, if any at all. You just wasted a lot of time and money. And people can go on these short courses and badge themselves up as a social media expert, and they haven't got and they haven't got the knowledge. And I think we've probably, well, I've been burned, I can't speak for you, in the past.
So those stops. So yeah.
Yeah, so it's about getting recommendations, working with people who are getting results, and also I think it's about developing an understanding of what needs to be done for yourself, so that you know what you're buying and you're not going in really naively and just trusting it all to somebody else who really hasn't got the scoobies
100%.
about business in the same way that you have. I feel so much better for getting that off my chest. Thank you for.
But it's true. It's true that it's about having an awareness of what the capability of growth marketing is, and thinking, this is how I'm going to factor it into my business growth. Right. When I come to resource it, when I come to invest in that, is it best that I do it, or is it best that I actually look at options for bringing that resource in? Yeah,
you can split it up as well. So it could be that Richard, as the business owner, thinks about the creator, what messages he wants to put across, who he wants to put them across to, and signs everything off, and then somebody else does the job of uploading it, posting it, and keeping on top of the admin side of things.
Absolutely. Making, in terms of, can I ask you, I'm going to put you on the spot here. What is it that attracted you to come to the Growth Club in the first place? Let me just ask you to start off with that.
Well, because it was the two of you, basically. because I have watched and admired you from afar. We met at Janet Murray, but I've been faffing around in business for such a long time, right? And not getting some things done right, and some things definitely not right. And I knew that in order for me to grow I've got to learn from the experts, right? And so I don't like my numbers. I'm scared of numbers. And that kind of stuff. So that's why I hired Mahmood to be my accountant. But also he's incredible because he helps me through the process with no judgment, and no question is too stupid. And that was amazing. I knew that there's certain things that I do well in business, but there's certain things that I don't do well, which is the systems, which is the processes. And so when I worked with Jo, and I learned a lot from her business, she's been in business, she's grown her business, and I thought I've just got to do the stuff that I don't want to do in my business, but I've got to learn how to do it properly. So that's why I went on the Grow Club. And it's easy for people to have been in business for a long time to think, I don't need to know that, how to grow my business. I know all that. But if you go in and just listen, there's so much stuff that it really helped me to get out of my comfort zone on so many things, like the admin stuff, the KPIs, and then bringing it all together to have the business plan for growth right at the end was, spoiler alert, was amazing. If someone had said to me, go and create your business plan, which is what they did when I first started my business, I just thought, I don't want to do that. And of course, that's why I sat around in business for so long, because I didn't have a plan. I didn't have systems in place and this, that, and the other. So although I have done some stuff really well, there's definitely stuff that I definitely needed to learn. And I've failed, there were a few things that... but a few things that I didn't do so well within the club, but no judgment. We're all a warm community, all helping each other and supporting each other, and that's why I loved it. And so I actually want to go again. Am I allowed to go again?
You can be a serial growth clubber. I think we've got a new serial growth clubber there. Got a new hashtag going on, and. The other thing is that you're right around no judgment, and there's no failing. It's learning. It's a really safe space to try things out, think differently, and put a different hat on for step back and look at your business fresh, really, and take it forward. So you were brilliant. You and everybody else gelled fantastically well, and it's quite a diverse group of people with one shared goal, isn't it? Which is to move the business forward.
I think what I liked about that environment as well is that how everybody took something from everybody else. So you're a great help to those people in the group making that weren't that clued up about marketing, what it involved. You were very generous in terms of taking that input from other people when you were learning about, your messages. So I think it was great because for me, it was just a good, I learned bits from that whole program as well. So it was great just taking those elements and people ultimately coming into something practical, which is going to, help grow their business and make them more money as well.
Yeah, and just to be really clear, we're talking serial growth clubber, not serial clubber, which is a whole different set of images on the internet. Yeah.
What goes on in the green room stays in the green room, Jo.
Oh dear. So making how if anyone is thinking, gosh, I'm sure they are. I really need a Making in my business, helping me to do FOMO and get the word out there. What do they need to do, and how can you help them?
Well, there's lots of ways that I can help them. Just having a chat, and having a review of your social media so far. That's definitely something that I can assist you with. And I'm on all the socials as Making Tea, MAYKINGTEA. And you can definitely contact me there. I do have a website that is an email capturing tool because I haven't quite got around to creating a website yet, but I have outsourced that, and you'll be pleased to know. Does that mean I get a gold star next to my workbook?
100%.
So FOMOcreator.com. So if you wanted to drop me an email there, by all means. But yes, follow me on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Making Sang, connect with me there and send me a private message on any of those social media platforms. You can also contact me there. I can definitely help you either review your social media, or if you've got an event or a product launch or a service launch that you want a bit of FOMO on, then yeah, definitely contact me.
Yeah.
What's next in the pipeline for you then, Making?
What's next in the pipeline? That's amazing. Well, as I mentioned, I've outsourced to getting my website done. And in learning from the Business Growth Club, I really need to work out how to get the FOMO Creator Academy in place. I've had a lot of imposter syndrome this year, and I'm sort of slowly getting over that. So once I've put the tools in place to do that, then I'll be delivering training programs on how social media managers can become a FOMO creator for their clients, and teaching people how to get the best out of social media, but take it to the next level. As I said, FOMO creating bridges the gap between social media and PR, and so it's the next level of social media that I really want to help social media managers to learn to be able to do for their clients.
What's awesome is I know that you teach this stuff in universities on university courses. So you're not only doing it, you're teaching it, and you're bringing some really great, live experience examples to people. So is it University of Lincoln? Is that right? Tell me if I get it wrong.
That's right. Yeah. So I did a stint there at University of Lincoln. In fact, there was a university in India that saw my stuff on Instagram. Okay. Remember, create content for the lurkers, and they got in touch with me. And so I'm actually going to be doing a bit of a training session with, I think it's about 5,000 students there, which is quite exciting. So yeah.
Brilliant. Well done, that's fantastic. So you're available to train people and teach people or to do things. Richard's saying, brilliant show, thanks guys. Richard, it's always fantastic to have you too. We love your comments and we really hope that this is all helping. I'm sure with Making here that it definitely is. Wow, what a show, Mahmood.
Absolutely. So Making, what would be your top takeaway tip for small, big, large businesses out there?
Join the Business Growth Club that's running in January. It doesn't matter.
That's a fantastic tip.
It doesn't matter whether you've been in business a gazillion years or you're just starting out or you've got an idea. They are there for you, so definitely enroll for that, because I'm enrolling again. The second tip is, Mahmood, you've mentioned it. You really need to measure what's working. That's one thing that I didn't do for a long time, but now I've started to measure more. It really, really helps. So measure what works, what doesn't, yeah. There's loads of tips I could give you, but we better stop the show, aren't we?
That's fantastic. Yeah, well, Making, thank you so much. You've been really generous all the way through the Business Growth Club, contributing value to everybody, and we always love working with you. So thank you for that, and thank you for taking the time to be with us this evening. It's awesome. So
thank you so much for having me, and thanks for your contributions, Sarah and Richard. It's lovely to see you on the broadcast.
Super. Okay, thank you very much for that. And I believe, Jo, next week, productivity and efficiency.
We have, yes, productivity and efficiency. So this is saving time, saving money, so that you can focus more on the stuff that really gets results and get some great stuff done. Yeah, and I think we all faff about sometimes. Maybe we've got businesses where we're doing things because that's the way we've always done them, but actually, do we need to do it that way anymore? And also how to lead, some self-leadership stuff coming in there as well. So it's going to be an awesome show.
Perfect. Look, folks, thanks very much for your company tonight. And remember, as Making's a superb tip, Business Growth Club. Drop a comment in here if you want to be added to our mailing list. Doors open on the 25th of January. We have an early bird price here. Check out the link. See what's going on, and I think it'd be a great investment. Start planning for next year. Making, once again, thank you very much for your time tonight.
You're welcome.
And so good night from Jo and me.
Good night from me and Mahmood.
Something like that, anyway.
Right.
Good night.